the things that we've done in life and all the things that we.
Hey everyone, how you doing? This is the pilot episode of the Stoner Van Houten Show, Mayhem and Marijuana in Los Angeles. I am Stoner Van Houten here, and coming from you from Canoga Park on this little cheap set that we built here. Anyway, the first thing I'd like you to know is about my name. I get a lot of questions first about my name and how I got my name. Well, Stoner Van Houten, it's not that complicated. It's kind of like Marilyn Manson, the way he took two things and put them together. He took Marilyn Manson's name and he mixed it with Charles Manson's name and came up with that. Same thing with me. I just took two things that I love. One is being a stoner and the other is Leslie Van Houten. So I took Stoner Van Houten, pretty simple. And we'll get into that whole Leslie thing later on other shows. First thing I want to talk to you about really is just who I am and where I'm coming from and what this show is all about. Like I said, I was born and raised in Beverly Hills, California. I moved out to the Valley here in '85. When I was a child, I got involved into a little bit of murder and mayhem. I just kind of liked the history of murderers and killers in Los Angeles. The first thing I heard about was Charles Manson and the family, because we lived so close to San Suzanne Pass. And I had some friends of mine that would take me up there and go, hey, do you know these are the Charles Manson caves and stuff like that? And I was kind of intrigued about that stuff. And then I took it further than that and started getting involved with it myself. In Charles Manson and the history of Charles Manson and stuff like that. And then once the internet came out, around '95, that's when it really, really took off and it exploded. And there was so much information. Now you can get all the information you want about Manson and everything else and everybody else there is on the internet. And that's basically what I've done. I'm just taking my little childhood hobby of murderers and serial killers, and now I've turned into this bigger thing where I'm actually writing them and getting to know them, and we'll get more into that later. And that's basically how I started, because I live in the Valley, because Santa Susana Pass is right here, and we'd go up there and drink and party and stuff up there at Chatsworth Caves, up by the Chatsworth Tunnels. That's how that came about. Now, what this show, I'd like the show to be about is the history. Not so much just focusing on one individual or anything, but the history of murders and mayhem in Los Angeles. This town is riddled with all kinds of different murders, plots, suicides. Everything goes on in this town. So you have Hollywood, which is, God knows what's going on over there. And then you have Chatsworth, which is the other Hollywood, and a lot of other stuff that's going on there. That's the porn capital of the world. That's what I'm about on this show, is the underbelly of what's going on. I don't really care about your Hollywood glitter and all that stuff and your Man's Chinese Theater and your Hollywood premieres and stuff like that. That's not what I'm into. I'm actually into the darkness and the underworld of Los Angeles, the mayhem of Los Angeles, and what goes on here. And that's what I'm going to bring you on this show, is the history of that, starting with the Manson family. And we're going to go on and deeper, well, not just them, but other intriguing things on murderers and serial killers. But Manson family right now is going to be the first thing that I'm going to be focusing on. But just to also let you know about myself, I like to keep things real. I don't have time for games. I don't have time for bullshit. I give you the information that I learned myself. You can learn yourself. Everything I'm telling you here, you can Google it yourself. You can look it up yourself. Hey, the internet's for everybody. The internet is for the world. So don't think that everything I'm doing here, I don't know everything. And maybe you do, and maybe we can help each other. So that's what this show is about. I just want to bring you my point of view. Everything is strictly my opinion. I'm not speaking for the family. I'm not speaking for you. I'm not speaking for anybody. I'm only speaking for myself. And that's all I can speak for. But I will bring you some information, and we'll bring it to you in a little comical way if I can. I mean, not everything's so serious. I try to keep things a little smooth here. We got, a lot of things here to show you. We're going to get that in other shows. But right now, it's just me explaining to you why you should even be interested in watching this show. Why should you watch this show? What's the big deal about this show? Hey, you know what? There's a lot of these shows. Everybody can do a fucking YouTube show. But this show is about history. And that's what I'm into, is history. History is everything we need. We need our history. We need to learn from our history. It's by learning from our past that we can help our future. And that's with everything, not just what I'm doing right here, with everything in life. So I just love history, and it was one of the things in school that I loved the most. It was the only class I never ditched in high school was history. I had so much respect for my history teacher. It's just one of those things I wouldn't do. My math class, I never went to math. Until later, and I got involved with grams and ounces and yada yada yada, and we all know what that's about. But anyway, that's pretty much what this show is all about here, and we're going to be bringing you all kinds of just amazing different things. I'm talking about letters, literally letters from serial killers. We got relics from Spawn Ranch. We have actual Charles Manson signatures. I mean, we have things here that, wow. And all of this was brought to my attention by one man who I owe everything to, and that's Michael Channels. Michael Channels' Back Porch Tapes. MansonsBackPorch.com is one of the best websites you can go to learn about that stuff. If it wasn't for that man, all this that we see here today wouldn't be possible. This just not would be possible. I owe it all to you, my brother. He's taught me everything there was. He is my Manson Bible. So thank you so much, Mr. Channels, for that. I really appreciate it. I do everything from let you know the history of murders and serial killers to tours, to going to Spawn Ranch and hanging out and then letting you know the history there. We can actually meet out there if you want. Instead of just telling you about the history, I can actually show you the history. Which some people can't do that. So that's what this show is about, and we're going to take the show on the road, and we're going to be at location, and we're going to be at certain spots, giving you the same thing I'm doing right here in my good friend's home, Mr. David Finkelberg, who is allowing me to do this here. He's a great friend of mine. This will be on the road and other places too. I'm going to bring you everything. We're going to show you. We're going to show the world everything there is to know about murderers, serial killers, and marijuana too. Don't forget about marijuana. How much we love marijuana. My good friend Dave's actually going to help me out with that part of the show because he's very knowledgeable about that stuff. And I need a little sidekick. As of right now, I don't have a sidekick, which is fine. But we're going to get. This show is going to go on, and we're going to get far advanced on this show, and we're going to bring some people in, and we're going to do some stuff, and we're going to take this on the road, and we're going to show you stuff, and we're going to teach you what's really going on. Even though a lot of you probably already know what's going on, or maybe you think you know what's going on. Hey, guess what? There's more going on than you think, and you can get involved with it too. Whether or not you want to be writing an individual who's locked up in prison, whether he's a murderer or a nice guy, a nice girl, whatever it is, and I'm not talking about just men, I'm talking about women too. We have women serial killers too, plenty of them that we can talk about. If you want to talk about prison life, I've been there too. I'm an ex-con myself. I've done 2 prison terms. I've discharged 2 numbers. You want to talk about being in a prison riot, how to make a prison spread, what mandatory workouts for the wood pile, what do you want to do? We got it all here. I have experience. I'm not somebody who's just reading it from a book and telling you about it. I've been to prison. I've been to Corcoran. I've been up there where Charlie's been. I've done my time. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to talking about shit about prison. So we could talk about that. So whatever the questions are, whatever you want to talk about, the history of mayhem in Los Angeles and marijuana and prison life, we can talk about all that on this show every single week, and I can just bring it to you, and you're going to love it. At least I hope you are. Because maybe this show's good, maybe this show's a piece of shit, I don't know. But you know what, if I don't try, I'll never know, and that's what you need to do too in life, man. Always try, always be yourself, and be positive as you can. Hey, this show is coming to you from my friend's kitchen, all right? Hey, doesn't matter. It's being done, and we're going to do it, and we're going to have fun doing it. It's going to be great, and I love doing it. I love my friend allowing me to do this here. This is going to be a good time. I was going to get a little involved in something else, but I'm going to bring it up. I was going to bring it up last show, but we're going to bring it up right now. For next week, this is going to be kind of cool. Next week, I'll have my very first guest ever on the show, on the Stoner Van Houten Show, Mayhem and Marijuana in Los Angeles, and my guest will be the Star Puppet. Yes, Star Puppet will be my very first guest on the Marijuana Show. Oh, excuse me, on the Mayhem and Marijuana Show. Yeah, I got to work out the bugs and figure out the name here. But once this here right here is going to be my very first guest next time on this show, and she will have a lot to say. This person here thinks she's marrying Charles Manson. Yes, and we're going to get into that too. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to see. We got letters. We got relics. We've got stuff here. We've got pictures. Everything there is. And we got time. We're out of time right now. Next week, we'll have more for you. Thanks for tuning in on the Stoner Van Houten Show. Take care, everyone. All right, peace. One soul.
It's all in the eyes of a dreamer. It's all in the eyes of the man. All the things that we've done in life and all the things that we plan. Can the world be as sad as it seems? We're our man's hopes, we're our man's dreams. In the eyes